Hi. Skyrim, released in 2011, became one of the most recognizable fantasy RPGs. The game offered a huge open world, freedom of choice, and the ability to shape your own path, from traveling across the northern lands to exploring ancient dungeons and interacting with various factions. Over time, Skyrim influenced an entire generation of games, becoming a benchmark for studios striving to recreate its scale and spirit of adventure. In this video, we've gathered 20 projects that inherited Skyrim's key elements: sprawling locations, deep role-playing systems, and freedom of exploration. Let's start with Avowed. Obsidian is once again doing what they do best, weaving player decisions into the story. And the further you go, the more you realize that every choice really is a chain reaction. The game's biggest strength is its structure: vertical level design, hidden paths, secrets, and numerous quest branches. It's one of those rare cases where exploration isn't just pleasant, it's genuinely exciting. You climb ledges, slip off cliffs, find a new grimoire or piece of armor, and immediately want to keep exploring the map. On higher difficulties, the combat truly shines. You have to combine abilities, swap weapons on the fly, and use the environment. Companions here are a reward on their own, especially Kai, who becomes the emotional core of the story, but the others are also lively, enjoyable to talk to, and come with solid personal quests. Atomfall. One of those games that doesn't try to impress with budget, but hooks you with its approach. It's a British post-apocalyptic world in old-school style. The game throws you into a place filled with radiation, oddities, mutated organisms, and secrets. The most important part is exploration. No markers, no hand-holding. You navigate by rumors, hints, scraps of notes, and every discovery feels genuinely earned. The developers care not about producing content, but about building atmosphere, and they succeeded. The game systems are strange, sometimes rough, but always unusual. Limited inventory, bartering instead of money, no standard weapon UI, improvised buffs that suddenly save your life in tough encounters, and fights against robots. Oblivion Remastered. A full, careful remake that makes the game truly modern. The developers didn't change the foundation, and that's the right choice. Oblivion has always been about adventure, full of odd characters, shining cities, and a fairy tale vibe. Visually, the remaster is impressive. Updated textures, improved lighting, and yet the art style of 2006 remains intact. Forests mesmerize with their unreal greenery, and the ruins look like sets from an epic film. Caves and tombs are finally truly dark, making the torch meaningful again. Dragon's Dogma 2. It continues the traditions of the original but makes them deeper, more dynamic, and more expansive. It's a game where freedom isn't declared, it's felt in every step. You create a hero, choose a class, recruit your pawn party, and set off on a journey where the world not only reacts to you but often throws unexpected situations your way. The main feature is the pawn system. They observe you, adopt your fighting style, learn, give advice, and eventually feel like real companions with their own habits and mannerisms. The combat system is one of the main joys of the game. Fights with huge monsters stay fun for dozens of hours. The open world is beautiful, alive, and unpredictable. It generates small stories, from a night encounter with a beast to a griffin suddenly falling from the sky in the middle of your adventure. Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. One of the most unusual RPGs of recent years. It takes Arthurian myths, turns them inside out, and transforms the once noble world of knights into a rotting, war-torn Avalon where every inch of land is soaked in disease, fear, and despair. There are no shining knights, only broken people ready to do anything to survive. And at night, ancient darkness descends upon the land, changing the world beyond recognition. New creatures appear in the fog, and characters behave differently. The quests are the pride of the game. There are many of them, and they constantly force you to make choices where there is no true victory. Most decisions have consequences that appear hours later. The world is split into 3 major regions, each with its own style. Some might call it empty, but it's an intentional artistic emptiness. Avalon is dying. There can't be blooming valleys or bustling cities. The game follows its lore strictly and never breaks it for the sake of beauty. Echoes of the End Enhanced Edition. A cinematic fantasy adventure inspired by Iceland, created with love for icy landscapes and ancient magic. The game feels like a return to the early 2000s era. Straightforward levels, platforming, puzzles, bosses, everything we used to love, but with modern graphics. The story is surprisingly solid. The world's lore is written from scratch, the characters aren't cardboard, and the dialogues and cutscenes reveal them gradually. There's even a complete character arc for the protagonist, along with a couple of twists that are extremely rare for a project of this scale. Gameplay revolves around two things: combat and puzzles. Puzzles take up most of the time. Some players like that, some don't, but their difficulty ramps up and new mechanics are introduced gradually, almost like in Tomb Raider. Enderal Forgotten Stories. This isn't a mod, it's a full-fledged RPG built on Skyrim's engine but completely redesigned. A new world, new systems, a completely different atmosphere and philosophy. There is no Skyrim here, only Enderal, a dark fantasy with its own mythology, gods, and tragedies. The developers created a massive handcrafted world. Jungles, deserts, mountains, cities, and ruins, all filled with story and characters. Many players consider its narrative more mature than most RPGs in recent years. The gameplay differs from Skyrim far more than it seems. A new leveling system through books, survival elements, reworked classes and combat, and two unique archetypes, the werewolf and the spiritual summoner. Starfield. At launch, it sparked a storm of criticism, but a year later it evolved into a full RPG with real variability and some of the best quest design around. The world reacts actively to the player. You can avoid combat, use reputation, and resolve situations peacefully. Dialogues have become richer, faction lines, companion reactions, and choices that influence quest progression. The number of nonlinear missions is impressive. Interesting decisions, moral gray areas, and multiple ways to complete them. Many quests can be finished peacefully, stealthily, or by force, and New Game Plus introduces a unique concept of restarting with narrative variations. The Outer Worlds 2. A successful return for Obsidian to their roots. A smart, satirical, highly flexible RPG that's more mature and much larger in scale than the first game. Gunplay is noticeably improved. Weapons are more diverse, including unique experimental models. Armor can be customized, and combat allows you to combine time-slowing abilities with companion skills. It's genuinely fun to play. The story is stronger across the board. Sharp corporate satire, dark comedy, factions with clashing ideologies, and morally ambiguous decisions. Choices matter, and certain quests unlock or disappear depending on your actions. The world is filled with secrets, alternate routes, hidden solutions, extra hacking options, and multiple quest endings. It has that special feeling when you finish a mission and later discover 2 or 3 more ways it could have been done. Hogwarts Legacy. It feels like Skyrim's magical relative, a huge open world packed with secrets, puzzles, hidden rooms, and unexpected stories. You constantly get distracted from the main plot to explore the castle, the dungeons, or the forests. The freedom is built on the same principles. Explore if you want, craft if you want, tame magical creatures, study spells, or just wander around Hogsmeade for hours. The magical atmosphere is recreated with so much love that the whole game feels like a giant fan-service open world. Despite simple dialogues and some odd design decisions, it delivers that genuine sense of adventure. Drova Forsaken Kin, a much darker and harsher RPG that carries the DNA of old-school role-playing. There's no familiar comfort of being a chosen hero. You're weak, vulnerable, and the world around you is hostile. Drova's strengths lie in how slowly the world reveals itself, with answers coming step by step through factions, characters, and grim secrets. The combat system also makes you think. Resources are limited, enemies are dangerous, and victory comes only through careful planning. Thanks to well-crafted quests, dense atmosphere, and attention to detail, Drova captures that hardcore, slow, deeply immersive magic that fans love in Skyrim, Fallout, and Gothic. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 shows what Skyrim might look like if you removed all magic, dragons, and fantasy, and replaced them with the harsh reality of the 15th century. The story continues the journey of Henry, the blacksmith's son, who, after the tragedy of the first game, once again becomes entangled in political intrigue, conflict, and personal revenge. The developers focus heavily on historical authenticity. Villages, castles, clothing, weapons, rituals, and social structure are recreated so meticulously that at times you forget this is a game and not an interactive medieval film. The open world is huge and lives by its own rules, and the freedom of choice lets you set your own pace, from traveling across Bohemia and serving nobles to investigations, hunting, or everyday chores. The combat system deserves special praise. Deep, heavy, demanding, yet fair. Every strike has weight, every decision in a duel can be your last, and a single skilled opponent can drop even a well-trained character to their knees. You must choose attack directions, manage stamina, block precisely, and use feints. Fighting multiple enemies is almost a death sentence, and even good armor won't save you if you act recklessly. The Witcher 3, perhaps the best proof that RPGs can be deep, cinematic, and incredibly emotional at the same time. Geralt of Rivia's story reaches its peak here. The white-haired Witcher sets off to find Ciri, his adopted daughter, who is being hunted by the Wild Hunt, mysterious, merciless riders from another world. The story isn't just about a dangerous journey, but also about relationships, consequences, and themes rarely explored in video games. The world Geralt travels through is huge, filled with stories, myths, folklore, and hundreds of characters who exist for more than just checking a box. Every side quest feels like a mini-drama or a short story. You won't find two similar ones here. Even monster hunting, which seems like simple Witcher work, becomes a detective task. Studying tracks, using abilities, brewing potions, and preparing for battle. The combat system, combining swords, signs, alchemy, and a crossbow, lets you choose your style and experiment freely. Greedfall 2 returns players to a striking world inspired by 17th century Europe but infused with magic, mysticism, and ancient secrets. However, the second game offers a very different perspective, as it's a prequel set 3 years before the original. This time, the protagonist is not a member of the merchant congregation but a prisoner from the island, forced under the control of colonizers. His journey becomes a story of resistance against a tyrant seeking to dominate the land and suppress the native culture. The biggest strength of Greedfall 2 is still its expansive world, which, like in Skyrim, you can explore at your own pace. Abandoned ruins, settlements, remnants of old civilizations, and regions where nature and magic intertwine in unexpected ways. Secrets are everywhere. Your travels constantly bring you into contact with various factions, colonizers, merchants, shamans, and mysterious beings. The Elder Scrolls Online, a large-scale multiplayer RPG that has grown into something far bigger than just an online offshoot of the series. Over its 10-year lifespan, the game has evolved into a massive universe uniting players worldwide and steadily expanding with new stories, regions, and mechanics. Skyrim fans will feel right at home. The interface, movement, crafting, skill system, and even the overall atmosphere feel like a natural continuation of the fifth game. Despite being an MMO, it still manages to preserve freedom. You can travel alone, complete quest lines, explore regions, meet unusual characters, and help them in personal stories. The quests are more narrative-driven than in most MMOs and feel more like adventures. Each new chapter adds entire provinces, expanding the world to a size that surpasses all single-player TES games combined. At the same time, ESO offers things Skyrim doesn't: PvP battles, castle sieges, massive alliance wars, cooperative dungeons, and raids. Elex. The Elex series is Piranha Bytes' attempt to bring the spirit of classic Gothic into a post-apocalyptic world where magic and technology coexist. The story unfolds on a planet devastated by a meteor strike. The mysterious mineral Alex reshaped the land, split humanity into factions, and became the source of magic. As in the studio's older games, Alex greets players harshly. An unfriendly start, a high learning curve, and the constant feeling that the world itself is against you. But the deeper you go, the more its strengths shine through well-developed factions, rich locations, and a strong sense of adventure. This mix is what makes ELEX feel similar to Skyrim. You naturally want to wander further, discover new settlements, join factions, and feel the impact of your decisions. If you accept the series' quirks, modest budget, stiff animations, and a very particular pace, ELEX becomes a surprisingly atmospheric journey. Enshrouded. You begin as an ordinary wanderer, exploring a vast world, uncovering its mysteries, and slowly becoming a hero capable of changing destinies. Progression is flexible. You can build a warrior, mage, or archer setup, and the combat blends dynamism with variety. All of this is supported by a voxel-based building system that lets you create bases of any complexity, terraform the land, and reshape the world however you want. The setting adds a special charm. Embervale is the ruins of a fallen civilization shrouded in the shroud. The story unfolds through notes you find and survivors you rescue. They settle in your base and unlock new possibilities. Quests don't force themselves on you. They gently guide you toward exploration, revealing dungeons and hidden locations. Assassin's Creed Valhalla takes the player into the harsh world of Scandinavia, where fjords, mythology, and the spirit of conquest merge into an epic adventure. At the center is a Viking warrior who, along with their clan, sets out to conquer England. You'll raid monasteries, forge alliances, and travel across Norway, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, and even mythic realms like Asgard and Jotunheim. Gameplay makes Valhalla one of the most content-rich entries in the series. The combat is heavier and more spectacular, character progression is more flexible, and the mandatory grind is gone. You choose who your hero becomes, a berserker, an assassin, or something in between. The variety of activities is huge: fortress assaults, exploration, legendary beast hunts, and building your own settlement. Where Winds Meet, an Eastern fantasy odyssey inspired by ancient Chinese legends. At first glance, it looks like another Souls-like action game, but it quickly reveals its own identity. An open world focused on exploration, beautiful landscapes, and martial arts. You can run across treetops, manipulate chi, breathe fire using sake, and fight creatures that resemble demons. Visually, the game is stunning. Soft lighting, detailed landscapes, and lively cities with a touch of magic. The combat system combines familiar elements, dodges, parries, special moves, with fresh mechanics that make encounters fast and stylish. If you enjoy open worlds mixed with martial arts and Eastern mythology, this one is an excellent choice. Dread Delusion, a dark fantasy RPG that feels very much like Morrowind. The game transports you to a floating archipelago of a shattered world governed by strange rules, where every location is full of surreal details. Here it's normal to replace half your head with a metal chip or trade a finger for a phantom substitute. The focus is on exploration. The game gives you minimal hints, no minimap, and never leads you by the hand. You chart your own path using landmarks. Exploration is constantly rewarded with new areas, hidden quests, and moral choices that are rarely black and white. Almost every decision has consequences. The combat system is extremely simple, but progression feels meaningful. Rare items noticeably change your playstyle, and searching for new modifications replaces traditional grinding. There is no exact copy of Skyrim, of course. Each game in this list develops familiar ideas in its own way, adding unique features, atmosphere, and pace. And while fans wait for The Elder Scrolls 6, these projects can absolutely offer fresh adventures and help you spend your time with real interest. The Image Game Channel was with you. Have a nice day.